your microphones. And if you have any questions, please put them in the chat and we will answer them during the interactive discussion. So we have a quite packed agenda. So we will start with a short presentation of the project Forging. Then we will have short intervention of one of our forging partner, APRE. Then it will be followed with 3 presentations from 3 European startups that will share good practices and lessons learned in the field of cybersecurity. Then we will have the moderated discussion and we will end with a wrap-up and the upcoming activities in Forging. So what is Forging? Forging is a 3-year project founded by the European Commission. It started in 2022 and it will end in 2025. In Forging, we have 2 main objectives. The first one is to set up a forum, so bringing together a wide range of experts and also to make sure that they are included in the process. And the second objective is also to accelerate the uptake of emerging technologies that are human and environmental sustainable. The project is implemented by 6 organizations. So on the coordination, we have ANL in Portugal, then we have GSC in France, 2 in Italy with APRE and STAM, 1 in Finland, VTT, and 1 in Spain with I2CAT. In Forging, so we are talking about emerging technologies, and in Forging, we are looking into 6 technological frameworks that you can see on the screen. And today we are focusing on cybersecurity. So few words on our approach. So as I said earlier, we are supporting the uptake of emerging technologies in academia and industry by connecting and making the bridge between different experts, and also compared to other parts of the world, this is a bit lacking in Europe, and also because both academia and industry are key drivers of innovation. So as I said earlier, we explore the 6 technological pathways to transfer ideas. So really the process of disseminating concepts, new processes, new ideas among 2 contexts, the research and the industry. And also really to help them overcome any challenges they may face in the deployment of technologies. And the approach in Forging is based on the value-sensitive innovation journey, which is really not only looking at the technological aspect, but also the human and environmental aspects. So here I will just end the short introduction, and I will also leave the floor to APRE, the Forging partner, who will give some information on the process, how we identified potential technologies, how they are applied, and why they seem the most promising.
Thank you, Charlotte. And while Livia is setting up her slides, I'm giving a short introduction. So Livia Di Bernardini is EU Project Manager for Research and Innovation at APRE, the Agency for the Promotion of the European Research in Italy. Livia is one of our partners in the project, and she holds a master's degree in cybersecurity, public policy, regulation, and management. And as she is responsible for the implementation of co-creation approaches in the project, we think she is the best place to give you a short introduction here on what has been done in the workshop that was related to cybersecurity, together with European experts to identify use cases for cybersecurity applications. Livia, we look forward to hearing about the outcomes of the workshop. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eva and Charlotte, for organizing, first of all, this webinar and for inviting me to today. I'm really glad to meet you all. So yes, let me start with this small presentation about the clustering of technologies. And I will link with what Charlotte just said about the framework of Forging. So indeed, Forging is based on the Industry 5.0 concept. I think most of you are familiar with this approach. It relies on 3 core elements: human centricity, sustainability, and resilience. And it reflects overall the need to better integrate the social and environmental priorities into the technological innovation. So shift the focus from the development of individual technologies to a more socio-technical, let's say, approach. So human-centric, because core human needs and interests are to be placed at the heart of the production process. And rather than asking what we can do with new technology, according to this new vision, we should be asking what the technology can do for us. So it's really a change of focus. Resilient, because there is an evolving need to develop a higher degree of robustness in industrial production to make sure it can provide and support critical infrastructure in times of crisis. And then sustainable, because it needs to develop circular process, then reuse, repurpose, and recycle natural resources in order to reduce waste and the environmental impact. Forging builds up on this vision and promote responsible development in human-centered technologies that are beneficial to society while also respecting the environment. And how do we do so? The project has developed, as Charlotte just mentioned, what we call a value-sensitive innovation journey. This journey supports innovators to address environmental and social implications in all phases of the innovation process. And it only consists in 3 phases. So we have the technology uncovering, and in this phase, enabling technologies are identified in all the 6 technology frameworks that Charlotte showed you before, together with the potential application areas. Then we have the societal confluence. This phase entails the analysis of future social scenarios for the identified technologies. And foresight exercise was carried out during the first scenario workshop, focusing on envisaging the future and exploring potential societal scenarios. And then we have the full-fledged co-creation, which is where we are now, in which concrete use cases are co-created for the uncovered technologies by the expert of the forum in a multidisciplinary, multi-sectoral, and multi-layer perspective. And in this phase, the broader tech community is involved in the development of this use case to promote market uptake and responsible technologies. To identify new enabling technologies at the very initial stage, which is the core element in forging, 2 rounds of desk analysis were carried out and resulted in 1 metrics per technology framework, so showing specific cluster of technologies and potential application areas. So a first desk analysis consists in the review analysis of relevant documentation and repositories on emerging science and technologies. And based on this technology scouting, a taxonomy was created in the form of a strategic matrix where emerging technologies have been associated to their potential target application areas. Then, during early co-creation workshop in October 2023, concrete technological opportunity areas and related challenges were identified. And then, with the technology clustering workshop, expert participants could create a cluster of the most promising technologies. So let me show you this cluster. A set of criteria were identified in technical, environmental, and social criteria. Based on these criteria, the initial technological portfolio were evaluated and result in this cluster you can see on the right of the slide, where on the top we have the technology considered most promising, and at the bottom, less promising. Let me explain it that by most promising, we intend technology that better address and responds to these criteria. So, of course, it's not universal, let's say, wording, just refers to this specific criteria. So, for instance, you can see here in technical criteria for cyber safe technologies, We identify resilience, compliance with legislation and technical standards, but also scalability, interoperability. Then in environmental terms, we believe that circular design, carbon footprint, and the use of energy sources are important, as well as for social criteria, inclusivity, accessibility, transparency, explainability, fairness, bias-free. I'm sure all of you are quite familiar with this term because there's a huge debate around them. But in our workshop, let's say, so cryptography, for instance, result as most promising in this, according to this criteria, while machine learning system less promising, let's say. And then combining the cluster with the second round of analysis, this technology portfolio resulted. So at the top, we have quantum cryptography, then we have 6G network, zero knowledge proof, attribute-based encryption, homomorphic encryption, and then zero trust. Okay, so then what we carry out is another round of workshop. I think GIC team will share this slide, so I will move quickly just in order to be on time. But I would like to mention then we carry out this extended co-creation workshop in which we try to merge between emerging technologies and needs from society. So we try this match from what we can do with the technologies and our needs. And what results from this is 3 use cases, Truly, ZenCare, and NextGen PA. So the first one, it's about the data access and the protection of data in the healthcare session using zero trust technologies. The second one is still in healthcare, and it's about zero knowledge enhanced network for confidential and reliable healthcare using zero knowledge proof and zero trust. And the last one is in the public administration sector and using zero knowledge proof. On the Forging website, you can explore the full description of these use cases. So I will not go into detail about these use cases, but I will encourage you to click on the link on this slide and explore this use case, as they are supposed to bring to society more value added through one of these technologies. So I will stop my presentation here and enjoy the continuation of this workshop, and thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Livia. Great to hear about those results. And for any questions, please do use the chat, and Livia will be happy to answer them afterwards, of course. So I'm inviting now Frank to the floor because we're now moving to the presentations of our startup experts. Very glad to have you, Frank. So Frank Sandelov is the CEO of CardLab, and CardLab's mission is to provide convenient means for the most secure identification and authentication, ensuring only that the right person has access to data, to equipment, locations, and services. The CardLab was founded in 2012 in Copenhagen, Denmark, as a development house for electronic smart card solutions, and now provides a full authentication as a service solution. The company has developed several biometric cards, and we will certainly hear more about that, that can be used for multiple applications, such as access to healthcare and medical data, e-commerce, banking, and many more. Frank is also a trained Army pilot officer and airline pilot, having held various positions in the armed forces and having served 15 years as airline captain. And with more of 25 years of experience holding different board positions, Frank has joined the CardLab board in 2009, became the chairman in 2010, and took over the CEO position in July 2013. Frank, we're looking forward to your presentation about CardLab. Thank you.
Thank you, Eva. I couldn't have said it better myself, and I hope you can hear me.
Very well, yeah, thank you.
So, good. So yeah, it's a pleasure being here, and I hope you'll be able to scroll forward. So I'll make initially a short presentation of CardLab, and could you please move the slide? Yeah, so like said before, CardLab is here with a purpose to reduce cybercrime. Okay, it moved forward, so I'll take this one. So what we're really doing is providing solutions that reduce cybercrime by biometric authentication and to provide the highest security to protect identity assets and data and still make it convenient to use. And next slide, please. And to give you a short introduction of what we're doing is simply trying to solve the problem number one in cybersecurity, which have been identified to be really lack of proper identification of the user. And that could be for different reasons. Breaches include often stolen-like credentials, and there are also a lack of human, let's say, there are human failures involved in it. We developed different solutions to do this. The card were where we started, but then we also have our partner we have acquired. So we have the full backend solution for the authentication as a service, which is tokenizing the identity on the card, verifying in the backend, and making via an API open up the real application. And it gives a lot of benefits like unbreakable linkage between a digital and physical identity. We can remove passwords and remove the risk of stolen credentials. It's the fastest multi-factor authentication. It removes human errors. It also makes stolen biometric data worthless to hackers because it's tokenized. And then we can provide huge IT savings on the different companies' support efforts. Next slide, please. Yes, and I think I know it moves a bit slow, this one, but CardLab is with a headquarter in Denmark, and we have our backend team in Aalborg, also in northern part of Denmark, and our factory for the card production in Thailand. Okay, here it comes. We have more than 200 granted issue patents. We're still keeping 106 alive in our core technologies in more than 30 countries. This is with a global customer network covering mainly the US, Europe, and Middle East and Southeast Asia, also with a strong partnership worldwide. And that have, let's say, put us into a position where we have three core card technologies that taps into basically any sector from corporate access, blockchain, healthcare, education, etc., and also the banking and so on. Could we step one more forward? So, seems a bit slow, this one. Yeah, and then tapping into the social needs. Do we really need this one? And we truly do. If we look at the cost of cybercrime, this year we're going to reach somewhere between 9, probably closer to $10 trillion, which is more than the worth of the support to third countries. It's divided in 4 sectors where we cover all of them, and they all have really big growth sectors. So there is a society need, and that's our asset. And the next slide, please. Yeah. I'm sorry, my internet is a bit slow here. Let me turn off the camera. See if that helps.
We can hear you well, and the slides are on the screen, Frank. You can move on as you wish.
Yeah, I'm trying to take my own slide deck so I can follow. We can get the progress. But the problem is that we do have a cybersecurity, a risk and impact consideration, because more than half, or just about half of all companies have experienced security incidents the last 12 months. All of them, more or less, are concerned about losing access to their critical systems. And that means a lot of the money is going into identity and privileged access management. That means we can conquer the old-fashioned way of entries of passwords and so on, and we will be able to alleviate or protect against some of the standard data breaches. The way we're doing it, if you move to the next slide, is that we have the card biometric authentication building on 4 cornerstones, where we have the credentials on the card and on the card alone. We do, when we verify the person on the card, create a token, and that is then verified in the online environment. But the token is an offline verification, and that's really the important part. Nobody looks over your shoulder while you identify who you are, and that enables us to provide a password-free solution. Token is verified online, and with the API, we can connect to basically any industry that is applicable for this. The way it's done is with a card, you have your fingerprint on the card. When enrolled, you verify yourself on the card offline. That creates a token you can transmit via Bluetooth, NFC, or any other contact chip to the system interface, which computers, PCs, smartphones, blockchains, whatever. That again communicates with our backend that verifies the token and eventually decides whether you got access or not, and then the API opens up for the real solution. We deliver this with a configuration system, so it can be set up by the user itself. I was asked, how do we promote this? And part of this is using some of the sustainability goals of the UN, where we have some human aspects where our solution actually is providing gender equality, because it doesn't care if you're black or white or yellow, female, male, whatever. It can secure literacy rights because you can prove who you are without being able to read. It protects your identity because we tokenize it, and if somebody steals it, they'll never be able to use it because next time it'll be something else. Just consider contamination risk. Like we've seen Corona, we've seen Ebola, and if you have your own device to identify yourself on, there's no risk that you touch something somebody else touched. And then it's an easy way to get digital inclusion and protect your assets as well by the tokenized identity. On the environmental part, I'll come back to a use case shortly, but we can reduce emissions, we can help on the recycling, there's energy housing, so energy is absolutely a part of what we are doing, or saving energy. When we sell this, there's some good arguments in our experience that ease of use and convenience, that always counts. Time savings, cost savings counts. What we are really careful about is talking about better security, because everybody believes they have the best security, and you get into a discussion you can't win. You cannot sell on expected future requirements. We need to solve problems here now, and that's what we do. And cyber statistics, people know them. Most of them don't believe it and say, it'll never happen to me. And then the warning here is that only use what's clearly definable, because we don't want to have greenwashing, cyberwashing in our case. Some of the consideration, just look at when you're in the airport, you have photo kiosks, you have a system that takes up space, a lot of money, and compared a photo kiosk system with a passenger identity card and a reader, you will be able to reduce a lot of cost on real estate, maintenance, reduce the cyber attack because now your verification is offline. And we have made case studies where we see that we save more than 90% of the energy used per passenger in an airport process. Same with the blockchain. You can go from proof of work to proof of identity, and that means significantly reduce the number of nodes and the identity used on blockchains. It can also help acceptance, and there is a possibility that this is the CML compliance tool that could help blockchain to become mainstream technology. If we look at how do we accelerate technologies like this, then we have seen that the EU has done quite good work over the time, but it's also supported by local, or let's say more general rules like the FIDO, Fast Identity Online, OneID, IDIATA. There are other rules as well, and standards. And in general, we see that there are accelerators here, and that is common standards, because that's what makes it easy to push things. What also helps is political pressure on security. And we need to see the fines for non-adherence and then a general broad education of public. What we have seen is a problem.
Excuse me to interrupt you. I'm just wondering, are we still on the right slide? We're on the Card Lab identity protection slide. Is that?
No, we on the accelerator and roadblocks. Sorry. Yeah. Because I couldn't see the slides.
Yeah, that's what we were wondering. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm on the accelerators and roadblocks.
Thank you.
Okay. And in terms of roadblocks, we see that the politicians are aware of cyber risk, but they're not really they have a risk awareness. They don't know exactly what the problem is. We also have a lot of legacy systems that people want to maintain and a high certification cost, partly because of some private standards like MasterCard and so on. And then we definitely see a resistance from the big tech giants because what we do will cannibalize a lot of what we see of the big four are delivering. The ratification naturally and interoperability issues are going hand in hand often, and then the violation consequences are also sometimes insufficient to make really a change. So if we move to the lessons learned slides, there are, I'd say, definitely things we have learned over the time that we need to realize, and that is that real security requires a combination of software and hardware. None of them can stand alone, because one thing is that the encryption today, yeah, you are in a hacker's race, and maybe I'm jumping a bit around here, but let's first take the convenience aspect. If we don't deliver something that is convenient, people really don't care about security. That's also what we have learned. What we have seen working with some of the big data centers and supercomputer operators is that anything that has been created by logic can be broken by logic. And by that, cryptography is good, but it cannot stand alone, because now, especially with the new supercomputer from Google or quantum computer, it takes milliseconds to break what it took years before. And that means we are in a constant hacker race with the new super and quantum computers, state-supported hacking, we have hybrid warfare, we have geopolitical threats, and so on. And that means we also have, again, the blockchain being used for ransomware and stuff, the crypto. And then we have the legislation really lagging behind on the technical development. And in general, the public is unaware of the threat level. They hear it, but they don't see it. So if we should be really drastic, we will probably go back to the pigeons going around with encrypted letters, or back to cash money, because then you at least need to have the hand in people's pocket to take the money or the data. So what we do in Card Lab is simply to help protect the world's most important data, and that's your data. And with this, I'd like to say thank you for giving me the chance to make this presentation, and I do apologize for, let's say, the technical hiccup with my really bad connection here.
No worries at all. We could hear you very well, Franco. Thank you very much for this interesting presentation. Very glad to have you and to see the work you're doing in Card Lab. So we're moving now to Patrice. Patrice, if you wish to put up your slides, please. And I'm introducing you very quickly to our audience. So Dr. Patrice Clement is a founding partner at Curnet, which is based in France. Curnet specializes in developing next-generation cardiac biometric authentication methods to secure data and software access. The innovative technology is presented as a wristband that measures the user's cardiac activity, which is unique to each individual, eliminating the need for passwords, access badges, or biometric readers. Patrice is also a researcher and lecturer in computer science and cybersecurity with over 20 years of experience in the field. Patrice, we're looking forward to hearing from you what you're doing in Curnet. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Eva. I'm really glad to be here with you. Okay, so let's start. Our main concern is we think that good technology is technology that you forget even exists, and it's the same for security. So all our conception of the security and technology behind is the following this mantra. Okay. So as you said, Eva, with Kernel, we are trying to make we have a new startup. We've started the creation of the startup in December 2022, and we still are at an early stage. We have MVP and some customers. What we do in Kernel is to try to providing solutions for continuous authentication and global digital identity using mainly cardiac biometrics. So you made a presentation of me, so I will not to take some time here. So let's move in the next slide. I think you may know that cybercriminality is very costful for governments and businesses. Around 10,000 billions by 2025 and $15 billion by 2030. And we address several markets. We address the market of biometric systems. We address also the market of electronic signatures and also recently the markets of electronic payments. Just quickly, the consequences of cybercriminality for companies. You all know that ransomware are the very drawback for companies now, but also the theft of industrial secrets, and in some cases the paralysis of the systems of the information system of the company. But companies are not alone in the problem of being attacked, because healthcare face each day around 2,000 attacks. So it's really it's huge, and we work with hospitals to tackle this problem. And also for people, because your company is now for B2B, but also B2C in the next years. It has many drawbacks for collaborators, fake loans, frauds, cash withdrawal, open fake accounts with fake credits. So I just wanted to present the work of the NIST Human Centered Cybersecurity project led by Julie Haney. I don't know if you know this work. I encourage you to have a look, because it's very interesting. Because often cybersecurity is perceived as something complicated for the users. You made the assumption, you can take the assumption that, as she say, maybe users are stupid, but no, users are not stupid. And everyone in cybersecurity and generally in computer science or technology does not assume that users cannot understand the problems and how to avoid, how to encompass the problems. So pitfall one, assuming users are stupid, is not a good way of thinking. And behind, saying to those users that they cannot handle the problem is at least annoying and bad. It may lead to what is called security fatigue, which is a sense of, from the users, a sense of resignation, frustration, and finally a loss of total response about cybersecurity and sensibilization about cybersecurity. So what is the solution to that? The solution is to empower the people and to make them central in the cybersecurity problem. And you have to build relationships and good practice, empathy with the users. Another pitfall, I didn't put all them, but the pitfall number 3 for Julie is unintentionally creating insider threats due to poor usability. That's another real concern, because again, good technical solution must not make a supplementary effort for the users. It should be the complete opposite. The good technical solutions should ease the work and the living of the users. So in Kernet, for example, we conduct usability testing. We conduct UX evaluation, for example. In the target, in the objective that you have to offload burden every often that possible. And in our case, for example, how can authentication be simplified? Be simplified at most. Another pitfall, depending on punitive measures or negative messaging to get users to comply. Yes, you don't have to rely on fear or punishment to sensibilize the users. That's not the good way. You have to find a better way, a more positive way to do that. In Kernet, we think you don't have to stress people, to stress user with those considerations. So actually, we address 3 main issues. The first one is the issues of password. Like say Frank, password and credentials are very nowadays also very complicated to bypass, because they are still present everywhere, but they're also the one of the they're present in the most of the successful attacks, cyber attacks, because those attacks are very often based on weak, stolen, or reused passwords. And as you can see at the bottom of the slide, the passwords still are the same very weak and simple password like last year or the year before. The top password are the simple same. You have another data on the right of the screen. More than 90% people use at least one weak password, and as you have in a range between 100 and 300 password for your professional and personal accounts, people often use the same password for the professional and individual personal accounts. So that leads to many potential leaks and flows, and the fact that companies do not require a password manager because the policies for the password are too complicated for people. For example, in France, the National Security Agency has stopped to impose complicated security policies because people cannot follow those policies. So the passwords are really complicated to avoid, and this is what we try to justly avoid those passwords. The second issue we try to address in Kernet is the use of badges on one side and biometric authentication complex systems on the other side. Because while with password we address the field of logical access control. In this one, what was the side of physical access control, access to a building or a connected vehicle, for example. So on one side, you have the typical RFID badges with low cost but no secure at all. And on the other side, you have sometimes very costly biometric readers, such as the eye or another from the arm, for example. So they are not. They are often expensive. They are not adapted to what we call continuous authentication. I will go back further on what is continuous authentication, and all these technologies are have been demonstrated by being attackable by the hackers. The third issue we address is the exponential need of dematerialization of the society. There is a big increase in the number of procedures according to the EIDAS 2 directives, European directives, which imposes electronic invoices from 2026. And for all those procedures, you need a very ergonomic systems, because if they are not usable, they will not be used, at least finally. And there is also a need to increase the security. EIDAS imposes 4 security levels, and you have also a need to biometrics or continuous authentication, which is part of the NIS2 directive, which is also a European directive, which is deployed in 2025 for what is called essential entities and important entities among the European among the Europe. So our solution is a wristband, and we address with the same technology also software access control and physical access control. No need for password, badges, or expensive biometric readers. So using biometric digital signature, which provide a certified electronic signature for signing documents, for example. We also provide electronic payment with e-wallet payment solution for classical payment devices and also cryptocurrencies. And also all that is provided thanks to the cardiac footprints, which provide a very high level of safety and guarantees health and wakefulness at the same time. Again, we provide continuous authentication, which means that we guarantee the identity of the users at every single moment of during you wears the wristband. And we provide with this maximum usability, because it is very friction-free for the user, because the users have nothing to do except just wearing the wristband. So that's why our solution is also very inclusive for disabled people or many impairments one may have. The operation of the system is simple from the user point of view. You just have to wear the wristband, which capture the cardiac signal, which is sent to basically to our servers, which analyze the cardiac signal of the person, and eventually, if the signal is I would say if the person is identified and authenticated, the digital identity will be transferred to the authentication service, which will provide the access to the resource. I'm going.
Patrice, 2 more minutes, please. Yes.
Yes. Okay. Just to compare with other solutions, we really want to be inclusive and ergonomic. So we think we are very respectful for that, comparing to other solution, more classical solution, which focus on some other things. Just a little point on other impact related concerns. Following the UN Sustainable Development Goals, we try to build resilient infrastructure to build our solution, the hardware. We also try to reduce inequality within among countries, because we already work with, for example, the Africa development. We also try to have a sustainable consumption and production patterns, of course, because we work with hardware manufacturers which imposed now the use of sustainable projects and way of productions. And again, we try to promote just peaceful and inclusive societies by providing legal identity with great access and inclusive access for inclusive concern for the use of the digital identity. Maybe I think I've over the time, maybe. So I will respond to the questions if you have. I think I may stop now if you want.
Thank you very much, Patrick.
Thank you.
Thank you, and we'll come back to you with the questions. Indeed, we have a couple of questions in the chat already. And I'm also inviting the audience for other questions, of course. Please don't hesitate to use the chat, and we'll come back to the different speakers afterwards in the discussion session. So now I'd like to invite Patrick Fabien to share his screen, please. And I'm introducing very quickly our speaker here. Patrick Fabien is managing partner of Runum. And Runum is a Germany-based IT consultancy specializing in process optimization through automation, data analytics, and machine learning. Runum drives digital transformation while ensuring compliance with security, privacy, and certifications such as ISO 9001. Beyond corporate clients, Runum supports selected NGOs pro bono, focusing on addressing security vulnerabilities. And we are looking forward to hearing from you, Patrick, about your activity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Eva, for the introduction. I'll just start right away. So we are a small team, as you see. We are 4 full-time employees. We have been founded in 23. And you see, we are also quite young as a team. So you only find Generation Y and Generation Z persons in our company currently. We have our office in the Black Forest. So we are quite good located with the Amazon AI Innovation Center in Tübingen, but as well as the Black Forest Labs in the near area of Freiburg. And what we are doing is basically we look at companies' processes and we optimize them. We use tools with our third parties in terms of robot process automation, but we use also maybe certain chatbots which rely on large language models, but also we just use sometimes a certain simplification. And our strength as consultants is that we have a quite broad range of expertise in industries. Therefore, we are able to really frame our work within risk, compliance, and organizational change management. We have experts from the food industry, healthcare, geographic institutions. So we are really quite broad setup. our main focus is really to enable our clients to focus on their why. So we would like to establish a small IT process and really bringing back their main focus, their main product in the focus of the process. You see that we have a quite big variety of clients, but it's also for our selection of clients very important that we have some kind of purpose behind our work. In addition, as soon as we have like a free spot, when a consultant has a bit more time or we onboard a new consultant, they're always provided with non-profit work, so pro bono, and we select then certain non-profit organizations and go there to like improve their processes, but also their IT setup in varieties, also in security. I will just give you an example because it's led sometimes to confusions when we are there. So we had like lately a project at the Red Cross organization at a subchapter in the south of Germany. And basically the first question after we introduced ourselves was, what kind of software do you sell? And that is actually what we are not doing. So we really go to the sites, we really go to each chapter, to each business unit and assess the process. We align with each stakeholder the requirements, what they actually need. And then what we are doing is we sit together and we try to optimize the process. And in case of the Red Cross organization, it was their contract management. In terms of just to give you a background what we are doing, in the assessment we just directly discovered that we can exclude the human resource department and also software and phone contracts, and also our request for proposals for different kind of contract software solutions have been determined too costly for the organization. So we proposed an in-house solution. And here comes now our tricks, so to say. It's not only an optimization, but also we focus there on security. So for example, we introduced a quite standard approach for the due diligence of the third parties, which was missing before. We also checked their badge identification by printing. So before there was nothing in place for authentication. So we established that with them together. We also updated their roles and responsibilities. So there was not really a contract ownership in their organization. And also we focused on their metadata for the contracts in order to enable them really have a new reporting line and also automated notifications throughout the organization based on their new roles and metadata. In addition, we also introduced a unique identifier, just enhancing their storage for their contracts, if it's in paper as well as in electronic. So there's always an identification between the both of them. So you see our work is maybe quite standard, nothing really too fancy. But what we have been discussing previously is, especially for nonprofit organizations, it is very difficult to set up a really big IT governance and also IT security implementations. Here I want to show a bit our expertise from small, medium, and large nonprofit organizations. And you see the main part is that they don't really consider themselves as threats. They use often personal devices because of budget restrictions. Their security mitigations are really not formal. They're also often not using a standard available framework. They have not really a cybersecurity unit. So just giving you the last example of the Red Cross subchapter. It's basically 2 people in the IT department for 300 people, right? So there's an absolute limitation of staff. There's also a limitation just due to time on the training on cybersecurity issues. There's a special case for Germany that we have a rise for workers and volunteers, which are in these non-profit organizations with an average age about 55. That means also they're not too much aware about certain IT tools and also IT practices. What we also found which is not really surprising, that controls are not really routinely tested, but also that not really a business continuity management is in place to mitigate certain security risk and potential threats. And what is our experience was really interesting to see. I went through some publications and I saw the one from Sweden. So it seems to be really an overall problem. So it's our experience is really equal to their publication. They saw the same problems in their survey for Swedish charities. One moment. So now, in the work with a non-profit organization, you cannot just simply go there and say, okay, please set up a big identity and access management product, right? We can even use maybe artificial intelligence to really analyze your user behavior patterns. They will just really respond quite quickly to say, okay, we don't have the resources. There's not really enough staff to support you. We don't even have the infrastructure, the IT infrastructure, to set something like this up. So what we found from a best practice perspective is really something where we see a bit of a minimized approach. So the first thing which we do always with a non-profit organization is really to give them a sense that their data is critical. It's often certain health data, really private data, which they have in their organization, and the threats are there because if it's known that their infrastructure is not well set up. So you see that, for example, in the Microsoft Digital Defense Report of 21, that it was actually the second most targeted sector. The next part, which we try to really focus with the non-profit organizations, is that they are aware of all their support possibilities. So it's not only that they get charity licenses from different software providers, but also there are several institutions which support their cybersecurity. To mention here the Cyber Peace Institute, but also, for example, the Microsoft Security Program for Nonprofits, or the OWASP. The next part is maybe the most critical. So you have to accept budget restrictions. You will not convince them now to invest a lot of money because it's simply not there. So you have to really show them what is there and what they can already use. And what they can already use is setting up on all their softwares automated updates. That is already a certain help. You can help them to train the people to use multi-factor authentication. You can enroll with a nonprofit organization this bring your own device concept by using, for example, Microsoft Entra or Intune, but also mitigate this often used shared account setup with an open source password manager like, for example, KeePass. And the last part is really to engage and communicate and train the workers. That is actually the most critical part in my personal experience, to make them really aware where's critical attempts or threats, especially for phishing, to do really a phishing training, to make it very simple and visual for them, especially if you work with elderly workers there. Also try to do this phishing tests and really ensure that the leadership support going back to the number one, making everybody aware that they have critical data and there are threats outside. And with this 4 points, you often you really support the non-profit organization to come to a much better standard of cybersecurity. Of course, there can be much more be done, but that is, in our personal experience, the best approach to really going from a state 0 to a state 1 with a non-profit organization. So that was from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Patrick. Very insightful. Thanks a lot for the presentation to all the experts, and I'm now moving to the discussion session. I'm glad to have you all with us for this, and we are starting with a couple of questions we are having in the chat, and we also have additional questions to our experts. So we have seen a lot of different solutions, and some seem to be in different stages of development. We have already had some exchanges in the chat as well. I'm inviting you to see these exchanges, but I'm trying to take them up one by one as they've come in. So the first question that we had was, what does the future hold for classical identification solutions as new methods, particularly biometric technologies, continue to develop? Maybe Frank, would you like to start answering on that?
Yeah, I'll be happy to do so. I think the future holds different tracks. It all depends on people's risk appetite and really the knowledge of how exposed you are to security risks. But that's one thing I'd like to say, that I believe that we'll see offline identity verification becoming the modus operandi. And the reason being that it's the only place you can ensure that you are in a place where you can verify your identity without having the risk of somebody hacking whatever you're doing. I also believe that the tokenization is going to take place because we need to move to somewhere where we need any identification of you as a person to be unique and not be usable but by others. And the tokenization is really a strong tool for this. And then whether it's going to be on cards or so, tokens, USB, I think that's going to be something that depends on the different sectors. But what I do see is that the online, which means face scan on a smartphone, computers, etc., will become under pressure because, like I said before, we are in a hacker's game and they're becoming really good. And online solutions will be one of the places where you can pick up people's identity.
Okay, thank you very much, Frank. Very interesting. Which leads me actually also to a question that we have in the chat, but which builds quite well on what you just said. And this is addressed to Patrice. Is a person's heart signal really unique? Because indeed, Frank just mentioned that the biometric solution are certainly those which will come over because the hackers are becoming stronger and stronger. So is the cardiac rhythm so unique that it can be out of any leak for on security issues?
Yeah, thanks for the good question. It's not the cardiac rhythm, actually, it's the shape of the cardiac wave which we use. And yes, it is unique. Our project is based on the work the research work we do from around 5 years in the lab, because we work in the public laboratory in computer science and cybersecurity, and those research also rely on 20 years of research among the worldwide. And yes, this is well known that now that the cardiac signals is unique. If you take the good grain to see it, but like many physiological other characteristics, you may identify people with many things about the body.
Okay, thank you very much. And then we had a question in the chat about the market readiness, or also asking whether the solutions are already on the market. Sorry, as I understand, Frank, CardLab is quite established already, so your solutions are on the market, right? And then maybe Patrick and Patrice, you would like to answer on that. Yeah, Frank, please.
At least I can confirm that we are in the market on CardLab, and we do have partners where we are actually introducing the biometric tokenized access in both the physical and logical access area. So it becomes a complete biometric authentication as a service solution we are delivering via our partners and also directly to some customers, and it's expanding.
Okay,
Okay,
great. Please.
Yeah. So for us, we are not currently on the market. We think we will on market next year because we have our first MVP, and we are already working with many customers as pilot for co-development. So we work with them to define really precise response to their use cases. We work with hospitals, we work with banking, we work with security, physical security solutions to protect buildings, for example. We work with also with defense. We're working. We have a trying to contract with defense manufacturer which builds vehicles for the army. We work with also with institutions for secure their building with physical access control using biometrics. But these are all pilots customers for co-development. So the first projects will be really on market next year.
Okay, great. We look forward to seeing that. We have a question to you, Patrice, specifically because we were speaking about the heart rhythm, and you corrected me correctly. So, but there's a question: how do you take into consideration the changes that might be caused by different heart diseases? Is that something that influences your solution?
Yeah. Actually, the project formally was aimed to work on health prevention regarding health diseases, and we work with another startups in France, which specialty is the detection of failed and health diseases. But for the moment, for example, if you have an anatomic problem, we just cannot handle the problem for the moment. But I think we will able to tackle many of the problems around heart disease in the few months, if not in the next years, right? The real problem is what we have to do, because if it is a punctual event, it is not so harmful, because maybe if you make a heart attack, the first thing to do is to call the 911. So you see, it's not a problem of authentication, it's a problem of the life, the risk of the life for the person. So if you detect a real hard problem like that, we have to call the police or to call the help services. But in case of people having everyday cardiac rhythms anomalies, it is for now for us a subject to investigate, as the project is still under research for some aspects.
Okay, thank you for that. Frank, I see you have a question that is specifically on that, maybe, or a comment. We cannot hear you. You're muted.
Yeah, maybe just a short comment, because what we have experienced is that it's really important that the false acceptance rate is really, really low. Like when you do the fingerprint, we know it's less than 1 to 100,000 that can do. And I know that that's probably some work you're already doing, Patrice, but it's really important that you get to the point where you can have some documentation on your false acceptance rate and also false rejections. And when we look at forensics, fingerprint still is the one that's been approved for forensic use in some cases with DNA. So I really look forward to see how you can do with the heartbeat for sure.
I agree with you, but on the other hand, fingerprints are quite easy to copy. So how do you handle this?
Yes, so that's why you can fingerprint itself, and that you're right. You are to touch a really important object here, or subject is, because fingerprint can be minutia based, which is based on different features of your finger. But what we're doing is a part of minutia based 3D scan, a algorithm that we build in, and also the capacitive sensing of the finger. So it's a totally different picture. So you can do, or you can copy fingerprints, and you'll still not be able to do anything. So you'll need to have the real person to do it, because you have your, like you have with the heartbeat, you as a person also have your own specific dielectric coefficient, which we measure during the fingerprint.
Okay, I will go deeply to see that.
Great to see these exchanges of knowledge and of good practices. So thank you very much for sharing that. I have a question that is to all of you, but maybe starting with Patrick, because we have seen that you're addressing users specifically that do have a knowledge gap. So especially those who are not necessarily having a strong digital literacy, which maybe sometimes it's the elderly, or they don't have necessarily access to digital tools, or they're not so much familiar with that. And I guess that these groups specifically also do not necessarily have a very strong trust in cybersecurity solutions or in digital solutions generally, because they're not just familiar with that. So how do you handle that? How do you work with them so that you create the trust that's necessary?
Yes, thanks. We like to use the train the trainer principle. So we identify people in the organization in certain chapters who are quite keen with solutions, and take their their motivation in the organization to really promote that also to the other colleagues. And that was seen very helpful. So if you have some people motivated and you really make a bit of extensive training with them, that really then distributes within the whole chapter.
Okay, very good. So leading by example somehow. Very interesting. Thank you. Maybe it's a good moment also to invite someone from the audience who has joined us very kindly, because we have with us Nicolas Gum, who is working at Morbi as responsible for partnerships. And Morbi is a company working on product security through automated cybersecurity checks. So this is something that I could imagine a lot of people would use it more in their professional environment, but maybe also in personal environment. Let's see. So, Nicholas, would you like to give us a short information on what you're doing and why this is relevant?
Yeah. I can give you some overview of Mobi. So first of all, I'd like to thank the organizer, and thanks you for inviting me to share what we do. Globally, I can only agree about the zero trust policy that you mentioned before. That's what we try to put in place with our customers. Briefly, we provide them a zero trust platform to secure their supply chain and all their products. But yeah, Moabi. So we are a French sovereign and independent company. We have no investors or fundraising. We are profitable, and our product has been validated by major French industry. So like you said, yeah, we are specialized in cybersecurity, more specifically in reverse engineering. I'm a tech guy, so if it's too technical, don't hesitate to ask some questions. So we've created a platform to help our customers to secure their supply chain and their product. Basically, the platform enables you to audit software to be audited for vulnerabilities without needed to access the source code and in a totally automatic way. In addition to vulnerability scanning, our platform also generates you SBOM, so it's a software bill of material, to enabling to draw up a precise inventory of your software assets. This SBOM has become a key issue for me in the industry and for our clients, especially in the wake of the Log4j vulnerability. I think in Europe the SBOM will be mandatory soon regarding the regulation, and I think it's pretty hard to generate the SBOM manually, so we decided to automate that. And of course, one big aspect of the cybersecurity is to monitor the vulnerabilities in the time and during all the life cycle of your product. It's good to put a product on the market, but it's better to monitor it and to provide a patch to the customer and to be aware that vulnerability can appear after you launch the production. What can I say? Yeah, I think there's a need to automate pen test or technical audit in the industry because there are too much product and too much software to securize. So that's why we try to do at Moabi. In other words, you can, with our platform, you can pen test a software. So it's a software, but because you don't need the source code, it's a binary. All you have to do is drag and drop. So this allows you to implement a zero trust policy and to apply the motto trust but verify. In fact, you can audit software that doesn't belong to you as you don't need the source code. So please rest assured, it's legal in Europe. It's only for defensive purpose. But yeah, like I said, Europe is starting to make software transparency and vulnerability management mandatory through the product's life cycle. So I think it's mandatory to audit all the software, all the product, anytime, and even if it don't belongs to you. I think it's a good choice to trust but verify the deliverable of your supplier, for example.
Okay, thank you very much, Nicola. Very, very interesting. So this is addressing more a business audience, but still, as you say, it goes along all the chain, so including suppliers. So that's really interesting also to see. You have rightly mentioned the legislation and the framework, and I wanted to come back on that because some of our other speakers also were mentioning that. So I wanted to start maybe with Frank. You have mentioned that there are frameworks like the NIS2 Cybersecurity Framework, also the Cyber Resilience Act, which will apply starting December 2027. And I heard something like legislation is lagging behind on the tech development. Would you like to develop a bit on that, Frank?
Yes, it's kind of a statement, but what we have experienced is that developing of standards take a long time, and we see that development of technology is much faster. And now we have AI and stuff going on right now. That means we're seeing different kind of directions develop right now, and a lot of this is non-regulated. So it will have to be regulated at some time to become kind of mainstream or actually be implemented, because everybody, especially engineers, are so happy about what they are making, and they will try everything they can to get it implemented. And really, for them, the issue is not the regulation, it's just get it done. And that's where I see we have our problem today, is that the whole digitalization has been more about, okay, what can be done easy, not what can be done safely. And that's where the regulators need to be much faster. We see more in the US where they are trying to see, okay, what technology works, and then they make the regulations after that, where we try to make the regulation. And then we realize that, the technology is moved in a different direction. That's at least our experience, and we need to find a way to get that done in a better way.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much, Frank. So let's see if technology and legislation and regulation can move on the same path. Yeah, maybe Patrick, is that something that's influencing your work, legislation, regulation?
So I fully agree with Frank. So we see it, for example, for a lot of machine learning or artificial intelligence algorithms now in the healthcare industry, that actually organizations like the ISPE give faster guidance than, for example, the European Medicine Agency in terms of their implementations and controls. So I fully agree there with Frank that from a regulatory perspective, it's lower than the industry moves forward in their implementations.
Okay, thank you very much. And Patrice, what do you think? What's your opinion on the question of regulations, legislation? Is it more supportive or is it rather hindering you in your development, and especially in a value-sensitive development of your company or of your solutions?
Again, as I said before, there are two main directives from the European Commissions that are going to be deployed and applied, which are EIDAS 2 and IS 2, and those two directives which will impose many rules to apply and to regulate with companies and essential entities and important entities.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, see, Patrick, you raised your hand. Did you want to comment on that?
Just maybe a minor comment. I also want to say that tools like large language models also supported us in harmonizing certain regulations. So it's now used in a lot of industries to really get a faster understanding of certain regulations by just feeding them and making it accessible in terms of language communication. So that is also something which is quite interesting and is currently heavily developed.
Yeah, thank you for the add-on. Indeed, I think they're moving very fast. So maybe tomorrow we'll already have new information on that. So great. I also saw very interesting changes in the chat on quantum computers and the quantum technologies which are influencing your work. And I see, Frank, you raised your hand. Would you like to speak up?
But that's only just a short message, like Patrick. I think moving forward, the regulations are good. We appreciate that we have IDAS, we have NIS2, we have the FIDO, we have different regulations. But we also need to see that some of the new technologies coming, like AI, definitely not regulated. AI can give big advantages, but it also imposes a big risk because we have done some tests with a high resolution picture and a face scan, and you actually get access basically to everything. So there are a lot of concerns that needs to be taken into consideration and also needs to be regulated going forward. So we're far from having reached the final goal in regulations.
Yeah, okay. Just a point. In France, for example, the CNIL, which is the commission which tried to replicate the GDPR, which in France is called the RGPD, has started a think tank, a work group on the specific problem of AI and their use, because actually that they do not know how to handle the AI specific problem and how it can be regulated properly to avoid many privacy concerns about the data you put on the AI and who use them and how they are used and who can access.
Yeah, we see a very close interrelation between AI and security, cybersecurity, but also other security issues. So As we are working on different technology frameworks, including AI as well, indeed, we have seen that in a lot of discussions being had. So thanks a lot, because that's also an outlook to the future. We're having many other activities coming up where we invite you to join, so you can hear also about those other frameworks. I would like to thank at this point our expert speakers and participants for these insightful exchanges. We have learned, I think, a lot of different things. And I'm giving the floor to Charlotte for a short wrap up and outlook to what's coming up.
Yes, so thank you, Eva. So I will share my screen. Just 2 seconds. Hopla. Can you see my screen? Okay.
Yes, we can.
Yes.
So I think we hear a lot of interesting presentations today, and I noted some few points just to remind. So the first point is that cybersecurity, it's no longer optional. So really protecting data and assets, it's really essential. And it's really the foundation of trust and compliance. All sectors are included, as we saw, health, education, banks. And as some of you mentioned, I think it was Patrice, around 50% of companies have faced a data breach, I think, over the 12 past months. And that cyber threats are evolving, are increasing. It can be very costly. So as we saw, around 10 billions, it costs around 10 billion euros in 2024, and it can increase up to 14 in 2028. So we really need to be proactive and not reactive in this kind of around cyber threats. And also the perception, as people are more and more aware, they see cybersecurity like a kind of complicated item, and we really need that society is empowered, and also be included in the discussion, in the overall process, because it's not only the organization, but it's also the individual which is also impacted. So very quickly, so just to let you know that we have a lot of still a lot of upcoming activities in forging. We have the webinars. So we already had the one on artificial intelligence in November. Now we had the one on cybersecurity, and next year we will have 4 upcoming webinars on the other 6 technological frameworks. So the one on bio-inspired material that will take place on the 23 January, the registration is already open, and the other will come very soon. We also have another workshop, on-site workshop that will take place on Madrid. It's one of the activities that APRE, Forging Partner, presented earlier, and the topic will be on energy efficiency. So registration is open, and it will take place at the end of January. And just the last slide, also in forging, as I said at the beginning, is that we aim to set up this forum. So a lot of experts, different backgrounds. So if you want to be part in this forum, you can just scan the QR code that I put on the screen. And I think that's it. Yeah. So thank you very much to all of you. And I
Thank
think
you so much. We wish you all a nice day. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice day, all of you.